I'm going to go ahead with the meeting beginning ritual. 起立，面向佛堂，参加先鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，参加各位的传习鞠躬，开班一鞠躬，请坐下。
Quick question for everyone. Were you aware of the three treasures of Chinese medicine previously? Maybe not? Yes? Okay, good. People online, same question. And also, has anyone previously encountered the three treasures or what is called the three gems of Buddhism? Okay, yes, okay. Some yes, some no. But I think this will be a good overview of three treasures in general. And then, of course, because we're sitting here in a temple of I-Kuan Tao, I will also be talking about the three treasures of I-Kuan Tao. So we end up with actually 4 different variations of the three treasures, one from traditional Chinese medicine, one from Buddhism, one from I-Kuan Tao itself, and one from, of course, Lao Tzu, which is the subject today. Let's start with traditional Chinese medicine. First, we have Jing. So Jing, translated usually as essence. This is the foundation of your health. So a very good way that I have found to explain it is if you think about a candle, the Jing would be the wax of the candle itself. So you have to then think about the quality and the quantity of the wax. If the candle is very short, or the wax is of a poor quality, then you know that the flame in the candle is not going to burn that well. So you've got to have a sound foundation before you can enjoy good health. Next up, we have Qi. So Qi is pronounced the same as CHI, Qi. So it's the energy or the breath. So usually the Chinese people will use the 2 different definitions interchangeably. They will say 吸气 to inhale breath. And they will also talk about how the qi will be flowing throughout your body. Sometimes the qi is blocked, and that causes you to feel discomfort. So, example, if the qi was blocked somewhere in your shoulders or the back of your neck, even your upper back, that could easily lead to a headache. But if you have someone in your life who knows what he or she is doing when it comes to the qi, and that person was able to unblock the blockage, causing the qi to flow again, you will feel an immediate sense of relief. Like suddenly it's like, oh, okay, much better. And then slowly the headache will subside. If you don't have someone like that, then previously I did a talk on gua sha. Gua sha would be a simple way actually to help you unblock the blockage. It's actually something that works better than anything that I have seen, including aspirins or Tylenol. In fact, if someone were to say that I have a really bad migraine, I took a couple of Tylenols, they did nothing at all. If someone were to say that, my first inclination would be, sit down, I'm going to do the gua sha treatment. You know, it doesn't require that you taking any medicine. It won't hurt you at all. It'll feel really comfortable. But at the end of half an hour's worth of gua sha, I can pretty much guarantee that the headache will go away. It's that effective. So qi, think of the qi, because qi is energy that flows throughout your body. If you're lacking qi, you will feel cold and weak. So the heat in the candle flame is a good analogy, a good way to explain the qi that flows throughout the body. And lastly, we have shen. So Sen, your spirit. This has a lot to do with the mental aspect of you. So it's your thought process, it's your intelligence, your cognition. It's all about Sen. Ultimately, it's about enlightenment, illumination, understanding, comprehension, awakening. So it's like the light, the brightness produced by the burning flame. So between these two, I want everyone to be very clear that here we're talking about the heat that's given off by the flame. Here I'm talking about the brightness or the illumination that's given off by the flame. So think about what happens when you are not enjoying good health. Okay, so perhaps the wax is of poor quality and it causes the flame to flicker on and off so that it cannot stay on, providing steady light and a source of heat. So that just means that the qi in your body, because of the poor quality of the wax, is not going to be constant. And the brightness is not going to be constant either. Translated into real life terms, it just means that when your health is poor, you often get qi blockage, discomfort. You feel tired all the time. You are not at your best self. And because of the problems that you are encountering with your body, it interferes with your thought process. You can't think straight. You can't contemplate some of the greater truths because your body is preoccupied in pain management. So in order to get back to a better position, you want to take care of your health so that you have a sound foundation to build upon, to build better qi, better flow of qi, and thus more ability to shine brightly in the darkness. That is, to have enlightenment and illumination, spiritual illumination. So those are the three treasures of Chinese medicine. Let's move on. I have a slide that talks about the three gems of Buddhism. Let's take a look at that one. Okay, so the three jewels of Buddhism, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So the Buddha is specifically Sakyamuni Buddha. That's the teacher of Buddhism. So this is not a reference to the Maitreya Buddha, and I know people get them mixed up all the time. The Maitreya Buddha, for the Chinese version of the Maitreya Buddha is the big, happy, jolly, fat, portly fellow that you see in restaurants. The girth of the Maitreya Buddha is symbolic of prosperity. That's why he appears in these Chinese-owned businesses, because that's a symbol of prosperity and abundance. Here, the Buddha, the Sakyamuni Buddha, is the Indian prince who lived 2,500 years ago, who was not poorly at all. He was quite skinny. He was portrayed in movies by Keanu Reeves, so he was appropriately skinny when he played that role. So, and that's probably what he looked like, not too Chinese at all. And so the Buddha is the teacher, and in the symbol of the three jewels, he'll be the one to take the top position here. Sakyamuni Buddha is here. And then Dharma is the teachings of the Buddha. So Dharmic lessons are the lessons that he provided. That's, in Chinese, it's Fa. And that's usually to the left or to the right. It doesn't matter which one. Sangha, Sen, so in Chinese it's translated as a monk. But the more generalized translation of Sangha is the community of Buddhism followers, Buddhist philosophy students, people who subscribe to the ideas and concepts and teachings and indeed the Dharma of Buddhism. So those are the three treasures or the three jewels of Buddhism. And oftentimes when you approached Buddhism, you will hear the term to seek refuge in the three jewels. To seek refuge in the Buddha, or the teachings of the Buddha, Dharma, or the community of fellow believers of Buddhism. Okay, Then we have I-Kuan Tao. So before I get into all that, let me just say that for anyone who wants to find out more about what I'm about to describe in detail, you can always get those details here at the link below. It should be fairly easy to find. It's a PDF document that'll come up in your browser. So for I-Kuan Tao, the three treasures are, number one, the mystic portal. So in Mandarin, it's 玄关, and that is said to be the doorway, the portal to the soul or to the spirit. So when you seek the Tao, when you receive the Tao, they provide detailed instructions on all three of these treasures, and you can use them for your benefit. So with 玄关, the very act of focusing your attention at 玄关, at the portal, will have a dramatic impact on your ability to concentrate and for your thinking to clear up. If you are overwhelmed by chaos in daily life, excellent practice, something that I do all the time, is that I hold, quote unquote, hold the mystic portal, 守玄关, which causes that chaos to instantly subside. I get clarity, I get calmness, I get concentration, I can focus with laser-like intensity and clarity. So that's how we use the mystic portal. And for people who have not yet received the Tao, the explanation of the three treasures is always going to be about the three treasures instead of exactly what it is. So when I'm done talking about how I use the mystic portal, there's bound to be people who say, okay, so where is it? Point it out to me so I can use it too. And then I have to say, well, you have to talk to the ordained masters. They will put you through the initiation ritual. They will mystically open the mystic portal for you. And then from that point on, you can use it. And then the Wordless Truth Sutra, 无字真经. So in Chinese, let me talk about the translation here just a little bit. 玄关, 玄, mysterious, mystical, or mystic. 关, like a gate, a portal, a doorway, a gateway. And down below, 无字真经, 无, to not have, to be without, 字, words. So 无字, wordless, without words. 真, true, 经, sutra, classic. 真 means like real or true, so the straight translation for that, a very verbatim, literal translation, is a Wordless Truth Sutra. So it's like a mantra of 5 sounds. And the 5 sounds are specifically designed to be thought of and not said out loud. You've seen mantras, you've heard the mantras that people use, like the Om, that's very common. People know about that one. It does come in handy sometimes. It depends on the situation. With the Wordless Truth Sutra, it's never said out loud. It always has to be said within, silently to yourself. And it has the ability to reconnect you with a wellspring of power within so that you can become your most resourceful self. You can be in touch with your Buddha nature. In times of danger, it actually comes in handy because that is when you need to be at your most resourceful in order to get yourself out of danger. And in fact, I would also say that the mystery portal is also something that comes very much in handy when there's a dangerous situation, because at that time, I need the clarity to see the situation so I can see my way out of it, so I can get out of a bad situation back into safety. Lastly, the hand seal, 手印. So we've got 手 means hand, that's a Chinese character for hand. 印 is a seal, like the seal that you impress on a piece of paper. The seal, the 印, that's your seal. So the hand seal is a mudra. A mudra is a hand position. The hand seal is you'll see people putting their hands together in I-Kuan Tao rituals. That's what that is, and it reconnects you to your child within, and reconnects you to the presence of love in your life. That's the deeper meaning of the hand seal. So those are the three treasures. You can use them all the time. People who don't really understand the three treasures will say that, oh, you can only use them in times of danger. And I'll say that, well, I live a dangerous life every day, so I get to use it all the time. And so the benefit for those people who decide to go through Tao initiation is that you do receive three treasures along with the instructions and practice, so you remember them. That practice can take a while. It took me quite some time before I can really memorize the 5 sounds of 无字真经, the Wordless Truth Sutra. Okay, so that was my overview of the three treasures. Now back to 67. In 67, we now need to examine 9, 10, and 11. So here we're refocusing back on the three treasures of Lao Tzu. All right, so I have a little bit more Mandarin for everybody. So if you take a look at this character, 慈, the pinyin is going to be this weird thing, CI. I have yet to encounter a native English speaker who, upon seeing this for the first time, can sound out 慈 correctly. That's because they don't know the rules of pinyin, and the rules can be very obscure and difficult to understand. So it's not si, it's not ki, it's not chi, like Da Vinci. I'd say Italian here, it may take you by surprise. But, cappuccino, da Vinci, etc. The C is CH in Italian. What it really is, 慈. So even this is, TSI is not that close. English speaker might say ci. So that's kind of closer. It's closer. It's better than the other possibilities. But the actual pronunciation, 慈, kind of tricky. No good equivalent in English. But what it means is easy enough to understand. It's loving kindness is what that is. It's a compassion. It's the feeling of caring for something. It's being kind. That's really what it is. What it does not mean is pity. So I can see how someone can misunderstand compassion and conflate it, mix it up with pity. But to be compassionate, it doesn't mean that you pity someone. When you have compassion in your heart, you empathize, you identify, you understand, and when your heart is filled with loving kindness, there's no room for resentment. That's the state of compassion I'm talking about. Okay. And let's cover the other character as well. So that's the first treasure, is the loving kindness, the compassion. Most often within Chinese culture and in Mandarin, 慈 is most associated with motherly love, with the mom. And Jian, pinyin, J-I-A-N, in actuality, it sounds more like J-I-E-N, so Jian. And the meaning is frugality, being thrift, conserving, not wasting. And this is the value that I've grown up with. This is what's taught to me starting from a very young age. So even today, if at a restaurant I mistakenly eat too much, it's only because they hand me a lot of food and I don't want to waste any of it. So I stuff myself. I suffer for my culture. Okay, so not wasting anything. Now, but let me talk about exactly what it's doing here. Here, to say not wasting, it's not talking about food or money or other monetary or material resources, although it includes all of the above. It includes material things and immaterial side of life. Like, you don't want to waste that which is limited. So, if you think about it, your time is limited. Your attention span is limited. Your mental energies, your mental bandwidth, that's limited too. All of it is precious. because all of it, you're not getting back. Once you have wasted a day, there's nothing you can do to get it back, to have it again. It's gone. So it's not just monetary or material resources that you have to manage wisely. It's also all of those other things about your life. And why? Well, because it's finite. It's there and then it's gone. Because life is transient. Life is always changing. So we have to be intelligent, smart, wise in looking at what we do have left, probably. Nobody knows how much longer we have to live. But in all likelihood, the amount of time that you have remaining, you're going to want to use it to the best of your abilities. So a very important point in Jian is that the ancient Chinese, you see, had no trouble with the concept of organizing your life or to make plans to do things, to come up with a plan, to budget expenditures wisely. No problem at all. They would only watch for the overzealous extremes where you are so regimented, you're so stingy in your life that you leave no room for enjoying the life. So it's all about moderation. A little bit more about that in just a moment. Let's go to the next slide. I want to make sure we cover the three treasures before we delve into the three treasures in detail. So, treasure number 3, 不敢为天下先. So let's break it down character by character. 不 means no or not. 敢 means dare, daring, as in how dare you, that dare. 为 to be, to become. 天下, these are together. 天 is heaven, 下 is below. 天下, everything below heaven. So that's basically the world. 先, to be in front, to be ahead. So altogether, it's not daring to be ahead in everything below heaven. So everything below heaven is not really a familiar English expression. So I always transform the raw translation to something closer to the way we actually speak, not daring to be ahead in the world. And to be ahead, run in front of the pack, is to lead, to take up leadership. Now, here, again, the specific meaning is a little bit different, but it's recognizable. The idea is that you feel that you have such a superior mind and superior everything else that you deserve to lead, you are entitled to lead, so you put yourself in front of everybody to assert your leadership. That's obviously a very arrogant mindset, a very arrogant approach to life, to basically name yourself the leader for everyone. So the Tao cultivator would never dare to do that. So not daring to be ahead in the world means not daring to assert yourself as the leader by right, by divine right to lead everybody. And that's because it comes from arrogance and the presumption of superiority. So when you practice humility, the Tao of humility, you don't dare to make that kind of assertion. Now, one more thing that'll be talked about in the slide coming up is that it doesn't mean that you always turn down a leadership role. It does not. What it means is that if people are not interested in having you lead, you're very happy to play a supporting role. Now, one day, people will turn around and say that, well, you have always been there for us. No matter what happens, through good times and bad, you've always been there for everybody. So, you know what? We want you to lead. When that happens, you are not asserting yourself to lead. You are responding to everyone pushing you to the front. So the way of the Tao cultivator is to accept, when you see that, well, if I were to take up that position, I can do some good. I can improve the situation for everybody. So you gladly accept. Now, what if they don't do that? Well, you are just as glad to play that supporting role. So that's the nature of the Tao cultivator, not seeking to lead, but also not turning away, not running away when people say, you really ought to do this for us. We all want you to do it. Could you do it, please? And you know that in a situation like that, even before you actually take on the responsibilities of leadership, you already have established a measure of respect between yourself and the people that you are to lead. They look up to you, they like you, they accept you, they trust you. You, in turn, having served them all these years, you love them. You want to do well by them. You don't want to disappoint them. That's the best possible scenario of leadership in the Tao perspective. Okay, moving on. So note what I say here in the last bullet. If they don't call you to lead, if they don't urge you to lead, you just continue doing the supporting things that you do, and you are just as glad. We just have a couple of minutes. As you can tell, what I'm doing is that I am reminding everyone of the three treasures of Lao Tzu. So the only difference is that I'm not using the full phrase, not daring to be forefront or first in the world or ahead in the world. I'm using just one term, humility. Hopefully you see what I'm doing here. So compassion, challenge. Never lose the natural compassion in your heart, even when, especially when, someone doesn't deserve it, not deserving of it. Now, let me also clarify. When I say to feel compassionate, I don't necessarily mean that you have to, give things to other people, render assistance to those who are in need, because there are so many people in need in the world that you will probably exhaust yourself before you end up with all of them. Specifically, what I mean by compassion is that when you interact with other people in daily life, that if the compassion in you can help free your heart of resentment and negativity, that if you feel compassion for them, when someone is a real difficult person to work with at work, you may hate them, but I want to point out that the behavior from this person is oftentimes rooted in fear. So it's really a mask. When you see through that and see the fear that this person has that causes him or her to lash out at everyone else, you will be in better touch with the natural compassion that is in you. And you will also free yourself of the resentment that you feel for this person. It's a challenge because this is easier said than done. I experienced the resentment myself. I look at certain people and I'm just like, oh, okay, I want to, choke them to death. But in the end, the Tao wins out, and I have to remind myself, I have to be compassionate. I have to liberate myself of the resentment. Number 2, conservation. The challenge is that you consume only what you need and waste nothing. And those of you that have an upcoming trip to a buffet restaurant, this is for you. In addition to that, in addition to material resources, please think about the limited resource that is your time, your energy, your attention. Life is short, so make the most of it. Lastly, humility. The challenge that I have for you is to let go of the spotlight and the need to be seen as knowledgeable. I know this part is not going to be a challenge to many people who are naturally introverts. That's fine. But the next part is that my challenge is to provide others with help. That part may be more difficult for the introvert because they keep to themselves. They don't want other people's help and they don't want to help other people. They just want to withdraw. My challenge is to not do that, but to actively be the servant in servant leadership, provide service. For the extroverts, rather than your lectures, that may be the challenge. I know quite a few people who love to tell other people what they think, how they feel, what is right, what is wrong. And my challenge to you is to refrain from doing that and spend more time listening than lecturing.
Let's go ahead and do the meeting ending ritual, everybody. 起立，面向佛堂，持下30躬，一鞠躬， 再鞠躬，三鞠躬，此下规则是一鞠躬，接班一鞠躬。Okay, everybody, we are done.
Participate in the Tao meeting by joining us online. For information, go to Taoism.net/Tao